Hello there, I'm Isabella Rossellini, and I am on a mission to explore the serious role beauty plays in things we take seriously. This is not a beauty podcast. It is a sports podcast. It is a science podcast. It's a business podcast. And today, it is a tech podcast brought to you by L'Oréal Groupe. If you listen to season 1, you will know that I have a penchant for Instagram. I post what I like, what I think it's fun. Mostly I post about my animals, my farm, of course about my work. It is a way of sharing my life. I've used it myself to check on friends that I've lost touch, for example. I want to know what is Linda Evangelista doing or Christy Turlington, so I go to Instagram to see what they're up to. The internet can be a lot of noise, but it can also be a tool, a place where we can communicate with friends or reach out to have information or being creative and share some of our personal creativity or sense of humor. And this is what we will be exploring in this episode about technology. The ways in which beauty has shaped internet culture and how internet culture has shaped beauty in return. For our first story, our producer Gigi is speaking to a journalist about the Get Ready With Me social media trend and how it's found a new demographic.
My name is Habiba Katsha. I am a tech reporter and writer. So essentially a Get Ready With Me video, it can either be a short or long video where we're essentially seeing someone get ready for the day. So this can look like somebody getting ready for work, somebody getting ready for the night out, and they can be a mix of someone putting on makeup and speaking about the day, or somebody getting ready for a date and showing you what cardigan they want to wear. Sometimes they want to engage with you and ask you what they want to wear. But where it originated from was YouTube's in the early 2010s with the original influencers. It was very much makeup based, and you were watching a tutorial and they were 30 minutes long. I loved them, and they were part of the reason why I love beauty, because I would literally watch step by step 30 minutes routine. I think growing up in the 2010s, being a teenager, specifically in the UK, being a Black woman, there weren't many people that I could look to in terms of beauty. So I ran to YouTube, and specifically Jackie Aina, because she's my skin tone. So whenever she would buy something, I would buy something. And Jackie Aina specifically, though she was doing tutorials, she would also speak about her career, her life. And I think that's the shift that we've seen it be from beauty to now actually people speaking about expert topics or their life and stuff like that.
And so you said it started on YouTube, but it's grown, right? Where are people watching them now?
Specifically TikTok. If you look at the Get Ready With Me hashtag on TikTok, it's got over 42.2 billion views. And the Get Ready With Me variations have exceeded 6 billion views as well. So I'd say TikTok is the huge one. I think we've seen a shift from Get Ready With Me's being predominantly filmed and done by influencers, but now they are being done by the normal every single day person. So this can be a doctor speaking about what a day in the life is like, just seeing them put on their scrubs before they go in. It can be a teacher. It can be a housewife. It's basically all different people are doing Get Ready With Me now.
Why are we, as a whole, so obsessed with watching them? Because obviously they've taken off. You just said these massive numbers, billions and billions of views. Why do you think that is?
I think, specifically on the TikTok algorithm, when you're scrolling, you are more likely, and psychologists have said this before, you're more likely to stop and watch someone who is doing something rather than just speaking. So I think there's an aspect of watching someone and they're also doing something. It feels somewhat productive. I do think that the algorithm pushes specific type of content. And if you see social media strategists talk about how to become an influencer XYZ, you tap into trends, right? And Get Ready With Me is a consistent trend. So I think there's partly people that want to grow their accounts who have no desire to put on makeup on the screen. They want to gain more followers, and they know that that is a way to gain more followers. And people enjoy that process of seeing someone basically increase their confidence as the video goes on. And also, you feel like you're watching someone on FaceTime. You feel like you're just with your girlfriend. It's a Friday night and she's doing a chit chat. People are looking for connection. There's so many stories around people wanting influencers now that are authentic. And sometimes people really share a lot about their lives through Get Ready With Me's, and it just feels a bit comforting as well.
Yeah, I feel like if I'm scrolling on TikTok, which I shouldn't be, but sometimes I am, the thing that will make me stop is the start where someone's like, get ready with me while I tell you about my ex-boyfriend or whatever.
Exactly. Like, we're all just a bit nosy. So, yeah.
Truly.
And during these scrolling sessions, one of the things I've noticed is more men making Get Ready With Me videos. Take a listen.
Get ready with me as I get ready for work.
Get ready with me for my first football game of senior year.
Prépare-toi avec moi pour aller au restaurant.
It is Sunday today, so let's get ready for church.
Get ready with me for school. My first period today is PE, so we can be a little late.
If you were born in the 90s, it's time for a skincare routine.
I did like a keratin treatment last night.
Next, our cologne.
Follow that with a peptide moisturizer. It's like a protein shake for your face.
Just blend it out. Very cutesy, very demure. See?
So I asked Habiba if that was something she'd found as well.
Yes, I have noticed that there are more men doing more Get Ready With Me videos. I feel like influencing and content creation was predominantly a space run by women, but now we are seeing that more men are starting to tap into the content creation world. And it's interesting because when I was going through my research, I expected there to be a lot of women in the comments. Sometimes there are, but it's a lot of men actually in the comments being like, I love this outfit. Where did that come from? XYZ. So clearly there is something in the sense that this is an untapped, I guess, type of content that more men want to see and want to tap into.
There was this article I was reading. What they were really talking about in particular was TikTok and Get Ready With Me trend for men. And they were saying that like the men's skincare hashtag draws, this was as of a year ago also, nearly 300 million views on TikTok. Men's grooming has 1.5 billion views, all these different hashtags. I don't know, it's interesting because it's like, you know, there's still by far and away the individuals online who are creating Get Ready With Me videos are women, but there is an audience of men online who are watching them and might be feeling more and more confident to make them.
Yeah, clearly. And I think because they're seeing it, they're probably more men are thinking, okay, if I'm seeing people do this, then I feel comfortable to do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Definitely. It was also interesting. I noticed, or maybe there weren't many examples of this, but they were just the examples that stuck out in my mind of men making Get Ready With Me videos in quite like stereotypically hyper-masculine spaces. So for example, there's one young man who is in the military training in the US, and he does Get Ready With Me videos as he's sort of preparing for his day of training.
I think, again, it goes back to they're stepping out, they're being vulnerable, but they're still conforming to what is kind of known of them. Like being in the military is obviously very much a masculine role. So it's like, get ready for me to kind of be a man for the day, if that makes sense.
But if you think about like 10, maybe even 5 years ago on the internet, I don't think you would have seen that kind of video from a guy.
I think that's true. I think because I've also seen a surge of like, get ready with me for a date. And I think I like watching those videos because you always speak to your girlfriends, you know what you do before you go on a date and XYZ. And it's so interesting seeing it from a male point of view, but then it's also funny because they're not doing much.
Yeah.
Like, whereas like when women go on dates, you shave your legs, you put your eyelashes on XYZ, but like, I guess it's just them talking about like their dates and like what they're preparing for. And I think that's interesting because even when I speak to my male friends, they typically don't talk about their dates to even their friends. So the fact that a man is coming on the internet to do that, I think is quite interesting.
But also it's really more about like taking that moment, right, for themselves. And even if it's just sort of like a face wash and some deodorant and they're ready for the date, like in that article that I mentioned, there was a really interesting part where this guy was talking about how he can kind of make his Get Ready With Me videos stand out. And his quote is, "My Get Ready With Me videos perform twice as well when I have a mustache," he said. "There's the idea of a man with a mustache being masculine, but the idea of him using makeup captures people off guard a little bit." So it's almost like, you know, still this sort of, it's almost kind of trying to like merge those worlds, right? Where you have this sort of like hyper-masculine sphere on TikTok, you have the Get Ready With Me world, and sort of pushing those together, you're kind of breaking through in a weird way.
Get ready with me, yeah. It's, again, I think community. You share, do I do this correctly? Oh, they're doing it too. They're doing it too in that country. They're doing it too in that group of people. Yeah, it connects us. In our next segment, we are exploring how beauty has shaped a centuries-old coming-of-age tradition in Latin America and how social media is evolving it.
Across the globe and throughout history, humans have found ways to mark the transition from childhood to adulthood. From the Sweet 16s of the US to Japan's Coming of Age Day. But today, we're focusing on one event in particular.
So the quinceañera is a long tradition that started here in Mexico, but it's now grown into a lot of other countries in Latin America and into the US.
That's Nuria Marquez Martinez. She's a reporter and producer living in Monterrey, Mexico.
So quinceañera comes from the word quince, which means 15. So this is celebrated when a young girl turns 15. It's her entry into society. It's similar to a debutante ball. It marks this moment where she goes from being a girl to being a quote-unquote woman, ready to take on more responsibility, maybe ready to start dating. It comes with a lot of religious traditions as well. Usually there is a Catholic mass that will happen, at least here in Mexico, where the priest blesses the rest of her life, her career, her path, and then there's a big party. It used to be that the parties were a little more intimate with just family, but now they've turned into these big blowouts where, there's all sorts of music and dancing and big fluffy dresses.
I remember, quinceañeras growing up, sweet 16s, bar and bat mitzvahs. It's also like this real social moment. Like I remember as a teenager, your sweet 16 party, it was kind of a big deal. It was like, yes, this sort of like coming of age, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of it was also just like having a really good party for your friends and like what that did for your social standing. As much as that sounds silly, it's very important for teenagers that age, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a moment where all eyes are on you. You're the center of attention. You get to put on this big cupcake dress, at least for the quinceañeras. The tradition is these huge fluffy dresses that are in pastel colors, lots of pinks and blues with lots of sparkles. Usually they'll put on a tiara, do their makeup all out. It's this moment where you sort of get to decide who's in my social circle and how can I impress them.
How long has the quinceañera been around?
It's hard to pinpoint an exact moment. There's a lot of theories that say that it comes from even pre-colonial times, that there were traditions in Mesoamerican times that did the same kind of ritual of coming of age. In those times, it was to announce that this young woman was ready to get married, obviously at a much younger age than typically girls get married now. Then when we enter colonial times, there's this mix of the religious with the cultural. So that's where the mass comes in and these other maybe more religious traditions about it.
The quinceañera has been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And as today's teenagers are spending more time online, I wondered, how is it changing?
I know with Hanna, she had a mood board ready to go for her quinceañera look. She had TikTok saved. She had YouTube videos saved.
Tell me a bit more about Hanna. How did you find her and what was sort of interesting about her story in particular?
Yeah, so I found her on TikTok and I found her because she was posting about her quinceañera after the fact.
Hola, soy Hanna Rojas.
Hi, I'm Hanna Rojas. I'm 16 years old. I live in Vallehermoso, Tamaulipas in Mexico. I am a high school student and I also practice the accordion. I have my own band. Oh, and I do makeup too. That's basically it.
And for Hanna, a big part of coming of age was finally being allowed to wear makeup.
Yo creo que después de mis 15.
I started wearing makeup after I turned 15 because before then, my mom didn't really let me because of my age. She said that I was still too young to put on makeup. But after my quince, I got her approval. I was thinking about the band too, and using that as an opportunity to teach myself new makeup techniques. I had been waiting for it for a long time. Well, since I was a child, right? Like any Mexican girl, we celebrate our 15th birthday. So it was something I was already looking forward to.
And with that great excitement came great planning.
I had to learn, so I taught myself little by little, using every possible platform actually. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, a bit of everything. I watched loads of tutorials on all the social networks to pick up something from each. The way I do my makeup is on the heavier side, not that basic. There are lots of no makeup looks that look very natural. But I like my makeup to be really noticeable, to really stand out.
For Hanna, it wasn't just about looking at what other teens were doing online. She started creating content herself.
I love making content for social media, and I'm making some vlogs about how I do my makeup, how I prepare myself, how I do my hair from the moment I wake up, when I have events, when I go out of town, how I prepare myself for going out in the city, how I get ready, and during the event. I upload them on TikTok, and I am really enjoying the dynamic of vlogging about my life, so people can get to know me a little more, right? Not just seeing me from the outside, but also from my perspective.
And it's not just Hanna. As of October 2025, there are 185.8 million posts tagged "Getting Ready for Quinceañera with Me." Hanna's coming of age has sparked a real interest in beauty, which is apparent both when she's playing in her family's band.
Se llama Hanna Rojas.
It's called Hanna Rojas y su descendencia norteña, which means Hanna Rojas and her northern descendants. I am the lead vocalist and the accordion player. We perform at weddings, quinceañeras, christenings, birthdays, and lots of parties. For outfits, I really like the color red, maybe because my last name is Rojas. So I have some red costumes and I try to incorporate the color red a lot. And I use a lot of silver and gold. I love it. I love the sparkles.
And as a way for her to make some money.
Sí, después me gustó mucho la idea.
After my quince, I really liked the idea of wanting to do more people's makeup. So I asked my friends if I could practice doing makeup on them, right? And obviously they said yes, and there I took the opportunity to practice on different types of skin, on face shapes, on different faces, different shades, different types of skin color. And they helped me a lot. My family, my mom, my sister, my grandmothers also let me practice doing their makeup. And now, they've already come to me for events they have scheduled, photo shoots, birthdays, attending weddings, and so on. It feels really cool because it's also something that I really, really like. And I also get to earn my own money, right?
It seems to me like there's something very interesting happening where sort of this social media aspect, as with everything in life, it's becoming such an integral part of these life stage moments. Did you find that there was a lot of social media content related to quinces, and what were they sort of like in general?
Yes, I scrolled through so many TikToks, so many Instagram reels. A lot of them are about basically just, follow along as I pick out a dress. There were so many TikToks and videos of the dresses that I didn't pick for my quince, or here are all the dresses that I tried on, or even real time, like come with me and my mom to try on quinceañera dresses.
So you mentioned that the quinceañera potentially dates back to Mesoamerica. It's at least hundreds of years old. How do you think social media is changing the quinceañera?
I think by being able to share all of these ideas more openly, being able to see what other people are doing at their parties, what you might want to bring, what you might want to not do or do differently. I think it has made quinceañeras feel a lot more personal, I think, to each person who is having the party. I think they're able to decide that maybe this tradition I don't want to take part in, or maybe I don't want a big fluffy pastel dress. Maybe I want to wear something differently. So I think it's resulted in these quinceañeras that are much more personal and much more in line with the person who is throwing the party.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There was a really great article in the New York Times also about how, particularly with younger generations, it's a lot about identity exploration as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Did you see any of that in sort of your research?
Yes, I did. So I think the quinceañero is definitely something that's come up in the last few years. From what I understand, it seems to be more popular in the US, that Mexican Americans or Latin Americans are wanting to throw these parties to honor their boys becoming, young men and sort of mark that moment in their life similarly to young women. In Mexico, what I've seen is a lot of older women in their 30s doing their double quinces who maybe didn't get a chance to, or maybe did it in a way that they didn't feel was a party for them. Maybe they did have a quince, but it was much more religious that they wanted, or it was, they were wearing that big fluffy dress that they didn't want to. So it was sort of an opportunity for them to give it another shot and to have the party that they wanted to really have when they were younger. So yes, we're definitely in a moment where quinceañeras, I think, are taking on the identity of a lot of different people, and they're mixing and matching different traditions that work for them.
Oh, I remember when I was a teenager, but that was in the 60s when everything was a rebellion. And my poor mama tried very shyly to propose to my twin sister Ingrid and I if we wanted a sweet 16 birthday party, and we screamed, no! At the time, we were rebelling against any long-time tradition, especially of young women being introduced to society to potentially find husbands. Oh, that I didn't like. We were not in that mood. We were independent women. So no sweet 16 for my sister and I. But it's interesting today to see how different it has become. It's something where young women and men can explore their identities, and technology helps them make this possible. And the internet has opened up other worlds too, especially in comedy. Humor is part of who we are. It's a reflection of our time, it's a temperature check on culture, it's our political environment, and how we present ourselves plays a key role. For our next story, we hear from our producer Eva. We are exploring the intersection between comedy, beauty, and technology.
The UK is known for many things, including some of my personal favourites, crumpets, Shakespeare, and world-class comedy. Which is why, when I wanted to explore how comedy is changing with the ever-expanding use of social media, I went straight to the capital to find some comics.
My name is Mary Martin.
Steve McLean.
Shalaka Kurup.
Sam C.
And they have heaps of experience.
I've been doing comedy for about 4 years.
Since 2013.
I've been doing comedy for 4 years now.
Ooh, close to 14 years now.
From specials on the BBC and Comedy Central, loads of hour-long shows at the world-famous Edinburgh Fringe Festival of the Performing Arts, lots of awards and appearances on panel shows, regular gigs around the country and international tours, Mary, Shalaka, Steve and Sam have each seen different sides of the industry. But first up, they do all live in London. So I asked them, what are the hallmarks of UK comedy?
It's extremely cultural is one thing. I think it's just like a very, very firm cornerstone.
Over here, we're a melting pot of styles.
I'd say UK comedy is very dry in some ways. That being said, there is a lot of slapstick UK comedy as well.
British style prides itself on being more clever, being sharper in the writing.
In American comedians, they're the hero of the story, whereas the British sort of comedy tends to be that you're the butt of the joke.
The UK is very suspicious, like, impress me. I want to be blown off my feet. I want you to do really well. I'll only laugh if you deserve my laugh.
And considering that discerning audience, I wanted to know, how do they get ready to go on stage?
I have over 80 bow ties, and that's my preparation. Other jobs are like, they have a uniform they have to put on to go to work. I have mine, and it's a bow tie. The cologne's kind of like the special cape. Like your special opera wearing cape, like, oh, we're being a bit fancy today. We're going to put it in a little bit more work.
So I do tend to like wear my t-shirt with a cartoon on it or dinosaurs on it or something like that. Kind of go a bit funky, so maybe some funky trousers and wear all my rings and stuff. And I've kind of got short platinum blonde hair. It's kind of like a confidence thing, being like, yeah, okay, I've got my hair looking cool. I've got my makeup looking nice.
I shower. I'm now 50 years old and my beard is grey. I've had promoters take me aside and be very, very well-meaning but a bit clumsy and say to me, Steve, have you thought about dyeing your beard? And because of that, and because I'm contrary, I now take less time to get ready than I used to. I used to wear a waistcoat and a shirt and a jacket. But I realised, comedy in live performance, the first bite is with the eye. It's like food. If you walk on stage and you put people off, it's going to be harder for you to win them over. Now, I'm aware of how I look. I'm large and I'm bald. I look like a skinhead. And I realised walking on stage in what was essentially a suit, I look like a bouncer. So I don't try to look scruffier, but I do lean into the fact that I look like I've just come off the bus. I try to look like a guy who used to have long hair.
I always dress for comfort, and I think it's quite easy. It's easier for me to do that because I wear the glasses and I have a nose ring, and that in itself makes it already have a bit of a distinctive look that people will remember you by. I always wear makeup when I go on stage. Not heavy makeup. I'll wear like eyeliner and a red lipstick. That's my basic. I will try and look better if I know I'm going to be filming or a gig is filmed, just because I've in the past posted a video from a gig where I've clearly not made an effort. And that video still sits in my account and I look at it and I feel annoyed every single day.
So it seems like creating a distinctive look, whether that's smart or casual, makeup or just a shower, in Steve's case, is important. But as Shalaka implied, a lot of comedians are filming their shows now and sharing clips on social media. How has that changed things?
Whenever you do a good gig, you hope that, especially if you've like smashed a gig, you hope that you get it caught on camera.
And so you could post about it afterwards, so you can like show off to all your followers, like, I'm this good. Please come see me at my next show. I think there've been occasional times where I've just like kind of gone on stage like without makeup and stuff, just being like, whatever, I'm here. But then I do really well, and then it's then I'm like, why don't I catch that on camera? But I'm like too self-conscious to then publish that on camera, because I feel like very occasionally I deliberate in my head, like maybe it's okay to only be what I would consider not presentable to the 50 people in the room, but to the potential thousands on the other side of the phone is not something I want to risk.
And it makes sense when the economy of comedy has changed so much.
Social media has become a huge part in the world of stand-up. Time was when you wanted to sort of see how bookable a comedian was for your club, you'd check out their set on YouTube, or back in the day, self-tape. You'd ask around, you get opinions from other club owners on how an act is. Nowadays, it's really about the followership of an act. It's about how many tickets an act can move. Events industries are hurting. A lot of clubs have been closing non-stop. The main focus now is how many shows can you put on. It's an evolution in the market for sure, but it's also a very quick evolution. And the first time an evolution has really occurred that didn't quite change the style of stand-up, it sort of highlighted an old style, which is the crowd work. The crowd work style, which is talk and response. People have to realize that has been going on for decades. It's not like a brand new thing that was invented in a club in New York or in Liverpool. It's been going on for years. It is just due to the nature of how short a clip can be on your TikTok or your Instagram. Crowd work is boosted by that.
I heard from all my comedians that in the age of social media, you're not just a comedian. You're a social media manager. You're a video editor. You have to upskill. Even though it doesn't always go as you might expect.
I just try to post reels about 3 or 4 times a week. It's all like witchcraft, because a couple of weeks ago I was posting like 1 reel a week and it was getting 10,000 views. And this week I've posted a reel today and it's got 800 views. I've tried all of the tips and tricks that people give you, where it's like post between 8 to 9 a.m. and post when people are getting off work at 5:30 p.m. And everyone has something different to say, and I'm convinced that no one knows how it works. So it's navigating that disappointment over and over again, being like, I thought this was such a good joke. And then you'll post something that's just a throwaway thought and 300,000 people have seen it, and you're like, I've written jokes. I have jokes. Please watch those.
Here's the thing about my social media. For no reason in about 2023, I randomly got a lot of followers over a short period of time. So I went from maybe 2,000 followers to like over 70,000 followers out of nowhere. And as quickly as it happened, they just all disappeared. And I have never been able to get the reach, that means the amount of people your post can be seen by within your sphere. And I have never been able to get that again. Because of that, I spent the last few years trying to figure it out, understand the algorithm, and the more time I spent and stressing about it, the less I understood. And I realized that's the whole point. It's not meant to be understood. You can game a system, but it's also, what are you willing to do? If I really wanted to be big, I would be doing general crowd work jokes about specific countries. I would have to make comedy to the lowest common denominator. And this isn't like making fun or insulting a lot of the more viral acts. And I truly mean viral. By this point, I mean these are like acts getting in the millions. That is not like reducing them. That is just a strategy of it. And for me, I have come to a point in my social media strategy where I am just posting the things I want to post.
But whether you play the game or not, social media has fundamentally changed the industry.
I think so. I think it's changed the way in which you can become a comedian, the kind of comedy opportunities there are. There are people who make money just off of social media, for example. And I think it's also changed the nature of expectation of comedy, where I've seen, myself included, a lot of comedians who'll sometimes do a gig, but every joke or interaction is done with a clip in mind. You're not being present in the room, really. You are focusing on what you can do in the room to maximize the quality of the content that you will post later on social media.
Dylan Moran said years ago, music used to be a lot better when they used to let ugly people do it. And this is not throwing any shade on anyone, because beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and what everyone finds attractive is different. However, there is a certain steering towards a standardized beauty in the industry that I am not comfortable with. And maybe it's because, I look like Shrek. What it does do is it opens up comedy to people who otherwise couldn't get comedy. So if you are not able to leave the house or you don't want to leave the house, if you're raising kids and you can't go to a comedy show, the stand-up comedy that we know has been taken away from the working man's clubs of the 60s and 70s, which don't really exist in the same way anymore. It has been an upper middle class playground for a long time, and it maybe opens the door a little bit more for people who it wouldn't necessarily be open to.
But with big potential payoffs come some other surprising elements.
It is now gone from this sort of special containable one night only to something that is now a production, where acts have been accused of putting sound effects in to get more laughs. People have been accused of putting in plants to get more laughs. People are accused of recording another comedian's laughter over their set. We're also at an era of the YouTubers, the streamers, who are just cartoons. That's how beauty has changed. It's about the idea now. You could genuinely have a comedian, and I will not be surprised if it doesn't happen in the next few years, a comedian that's completely fabricated, a comedian with every joke written by AI, performed by a hologram. Is that beautiful? Is that horrific? Is that the future? Is this the end? It's hard to say.
But there are, of course, other benefits to the industry too.
It allows you to be more niche, and it allows you to be like more specific. And like, if you only happen to find like a very specific type of comedy funny, like let's say it's like Dungeons and Dragons live role playing and stuff, through social media, you can find thousands of people who like that, which definitely suits me as well, because I kind of do live data analysis on the audience and things like that. And it can target the right people on social media who want to see me. So I think in that respect, it's fantastic.
I think that the rise of TikTok and the rise of Instagram, the rise of Reels, and I know I probably sound like in my day, but I think that's going to do a good thing in the long run to kind of recreate a comedy audience in 4 or 5 years, because there's going to be a whole load of people who are like, well, I want to see this live to see what it's like. You can watch all the Reels in the world, but there's nothing like a great comedy show to make you come out walking on air, especially if your only experience of comedy is TikTok.
So, even as beauty standards perhaps change and strategies for career comedians change too, it seems likely that some things have always been true. And if you can use them to your advantage, so much the better.
I remember when I did my comedy course, one of the first lessons we learnt was it's important for you to know how audiences view you, because as soon as you're on stage, people make a judgment within 1 or 2 seconds. Whether that judgment is true or false, it's just important for you to know. I think, not being afraid to be your like true self and like really lean into the parts that are weird about you, and then almost incidentally finding a community. Granted, probably not a local community, but like a nationwide community of people who were kind of all over. That's really lovely.
Comedy is all about laughing, of course, and laughter is what I like most in life. Often as an actress, I'm asked to play dramatic role, but I played a comedy role, and I have to say, I really like them. I was the goddess of beauty in a film, Death Becomes Her. I was a guest star in 30 Rocks and Friend. And when I do write my own scripts, of course, it's about animals, because I told you I'm an ethologist. I'm a scientist that knows animal behavior. And I play them in my series called Seduce Me or Mamas. Internet culture is always evolving, and the influence of identity and beauty continue to change with it. Thank you to our guest for speaking with us. Our theme music is by Jim Bromberg and Ben Landsberg of Wonderly. If you enjoyed our podcast, please subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss out on our new episodes. And if you don't mind rating and reviewing so that other listeners can find us. And if you haven't listened yet, the back catalog from season 1 is now available. Next, we will be exploring the unexpected ways in which beauty has impacted the world of business. I'm Isabella Rossellini, and thank you for listening to This Is Not a Beauty Podcast, brought to you by L'Oréal Group.